Hello everyone, and happy, I should say Thanksgiving. I was gonna say Merry Christmas, but we're not quite there yet. But I wanted to pop on here real quick and go over the Chunky Yarn Christmas Tree class tutorial. There was a few folks that couldn't make the in-person class, so I went ahead and did a little video for you folks to follow along with. And I hope you guys enjoy it. And like I said, this is a super easy but super darling class, you guys. This is going to be so stinking cute, and you absolutely can do this. So without further ado, let's get started. So here we are. Hello everyone. So hopefully everybody can hear me pretty well, and we're going to go over the supplies real quick. So of course we have the bases. We have a long one and we have a short one. So we have a big tree and a little tree, and of course we have 2 white cones, but you're also going to notice that you're going to have a little bit of a base, a little styrofoam green base, and that's going to go on your large tree. You're going to, of course, have your silver paint and a couple of, he's just getting started, a couple of little makeup sponges for your paint and your cinnamon. And that reminds me, you're going to have a little bit of cinnamon. Mine's in a cup, but your guys's will be in a little pot, but feel free to put it in a little bit of a cup. It might be a bit easier to handle. Also, a paper plate is recommended, and or a piece of parchment or something that you can put your product on as it dries. But it dries pretty quick. You'll need a bit of a ruler or something that measures at least about 4 inches. You need some pins. You will need a pair of needle nose pliers to make little loops with. You'll get a couple of wood stars with a hole in it. You will also get 22 pieces of wire, coated wire, a dowel rod to bend the coated wire with, and you will also get some bells. So stinking cute, you guys. And some ribbon that you will be cutting into 2.5 inch lengths. That's what you need the ruler for. And let's see. You will also get a light strand that we're going to put in the large tree, which is so stinking cute. And of course, you're going to need your yarn. So you are going to have 1 short and 1 long. So depending on the color that you guys ordered, you will have a short one and a long one, but yours might be all white or all green or one of each. But mine happens to be the larger is green and the smaller tree is going to be white. So, but just make sure that you start with the right one. Otherwise, you'll have to start from scratch. But no harm, no foul. You will also need a pair of scissors and also a glue gun. So if you guys have a glue gun, it does not have to be fancy. You'll have to excuse the condition of mine. It's been well loved and well used. So, but you won't need a whole lot of glue, but you will need a little bit. So, all right, let's get started with the first task. Is what we're gonna do is take our green stems and our bells. So you're gonna grab all your bells. You should have 21 bells. And again, yours might be a little bit different color, but it should be silver and red. But what you're gonna do is you're gonna take each strand or each wire. It's about 6 inches long, and there is a little tiny hook, kind of hard to see, but there's a little space to thread some wire onto. So you're just going to thread it on till it's about halfway down, or not halfway down, about a 1/2 inch down from the end of the wire. Then you're going to take your needle nose pliers, or if you have really strong fingertips, you can use a dowel rod, but you're just going to basically make a loop at the end, and you're just going to loop it until your bell is hooked to the end of your wire. Really simple. Can you guys see that? But you basically are just attaching your bell to your piece of wire. Really, really easy, however you guys want to do it. But this is just basically how I've done it. So it's just attached. And you're going to go ahead and attach all 21 pieces of wire to each bell, but you will 2 extra pieces of wire to put your stars on. So go ahead and do all of your wires, but you're just making little tiny shepherd hooks, just making little loops, and then attaching the bells to your wire, just like that. And you're going to do all of them. So we'll just go ahead and attach all my bells, and we'll be right back. All right, now once you're done stringing all your bells onto your wire, they should look something similar to this. They don't have to be perfect, they just need to be attached to the end of one of your pieces of wire. And for the folks that are following along, this is just floral wire, the coated floral wire that's about 6 inches long. So these pieces are about 6 inches long, and you'll need 21 of them to go with the little tiny bells. So then you should have 2 pieces left over for your stars. So what we're gonna do is just thread through the hole and come out the other side. Again, just about, so it looks kind of like that. And it's just about a 1/2 inch right on the end. And you're just going to fold over just enough. So you take your needle nose pliers and you just fold it over, or if you have really strong fingers, you can just pinch it. And then just fold it over so it just attaches itself to your star. Just like so. So you're just pinching it so it's folding over on itself. So you're just attaching your star to your wire. See how it just goes right through, and then the little tail just pops over and folds over on itself, just like that. You can see that. And you'll do that to both your stars. All right, so then once you have both of your stars attached, just like that, you'll have one bigger star and one smaller star. And I'd say these stars are probably about, the larger star is about 1.5 inches wide, and the smaller star is about 1 inch. So if you wanted to get your own stars. So next, what we're gonna do is we're gonna coat our stems and bells, our stars and their stems, and our bases with the paint, and we're gonna antique them. So what we're gonna do is you can start anywhere you want, but I'm gonna go ahead and start with my bells. So what we're gonna do next, so after you have your bells done and your stars attached, we're going to go ahead and paint them, and then use the cinnamon to sprinkle over the top to make a very antique, kind of almost like a rusted look. It's gonna look very similar to this. See how it's kind of got a multicolored to it, the base here, and then the little bells, and then of course the star. So that's what the technique is going to be. So it's super easy, and you guys don't overthink this. The more you kind of glob on the paint, the better the cinnamon will adhere to your paint. So trust me on this one, you don't need to make it super neat. This is it's basically, you're just gonna be adding paint onto each stem and bell, kind of sloppily, if that's a word, and then we're gonna just sprinkle the cinnamon on it. And then this is where you'd want to grab your paper plate and or your piece of parchment or even a piece of foil to just kind of help with the mess. So that's what I'm going to go ahead and do. This is just a piece of parchment. I think I got this at the Dollar Tree for like a 20 pack, and they come pre-cut, but you can use anything you want, even like an old towel even. So I'm going to go ahead and get started on that. So what you want to do is take a stem and kind of just hold it by the end and take your paint, and you're just going to all over dab. You're just going to all over dab. Just all over. Just kind of spin it so it twirls the bell around, and I'm going to get all sides of the stem, and just keep spinning your wire. Just keep spinning it so you get all sides. And then you just want to sprinkle it just a little bit with your cinnamon. And if you go too heavily, then that's okay. You're just gonna, you can go back over it with a little bit of paint. And then it'll look similar to this. Let me grab a white plate so you guys can see. So it just kind of looks all rusty and antiqued and all the goodness. Can you guys see that? Super, super cute. Now this step obviously is completely optional. If you want to just leave the stems more just green and fresh with bright silver or bright red bells, you can absolutely do that as well. So this step is completely optional if you want to, but it just adds like that rustic farmhouse goodness that I like. So, but you're more than welcome to skip this step if you like. But what you want to do, if you do want to do this step, to just go ahead and just do all of your bells and stems, your stars, and you will be doing the outside of the bases. You don't need to do the bottoms and you don't need to do the tops because those are going to be covered. But we are going to do the outside of the bases. Again, completely optional. If you want to leave these just wood looking just like they are, then you're more than welcome to do that as well. But you know, it's awesome. So so let's just continue on. So I'm just going to continue through and paint I'm going to go ahead and paint on this. And just dab, dab, dab all over the stems. So the thicker the paint, the better. You don't want it dripping off of it, and you don't want it super globby, but you definitely want a good amount of paint on this because that's what's holding the cinnamon to the base. So, and then you want to definitely paint the stem and then add cinnamon to the same stem. Don't paint all your stems and then go do the cinnamon because the paint will dry and then the cinnamon won't stick to your paint. So you want to make sure that you are painting and then directly do the cinnamon. Just like that. And it's a little bit messy, but it's kind of fun. And then you just can shake off the extra. And then you have a cute little antiqued bell and stem. Super cute. So go ahead and do all your stems and all your bells, and then we'll meet back and do your stars. See you in a second. And if you find that you run out of your cinnamon, just go ahead and recycle the cinnamon and make sure, as long as it's not sticking to your placemat. So paint on one surface and do the cinnamon on the other, and then you can add your cinnamon back to your cup and then recycle. So, and then just set these out to dry. you can, if you wanted to, you can even use your second sponge and just tap it right into it. So you can just tap, tap, tap and push it right into the cinnamon that way too. So you don't have to sprinkle it on. If you don't want to, you can just stick it down in the cinnamon if you want it to be a thicker look of cinnamon, extra rusty. And if you find that if you don't, you maybe thought, oh, that's a little bit too rusty looking, feel free to go back in with your paint and add a little bit of paint on top of the cinnamon, and then you can bring back that more metal look, and it'll look more something like that. But you guys make it completely how you want it. So you can do none at all or all of it. And then just like that, and then let it dry over here, and then keep going. So you want to paint, sprinkle, paint, sprinkle, if that makes sense. I'm just pouncing in the paint, just covering all the surfaces and sticking it right into the wet, or right into the dry cinnamon on the wet paint. Just like that, guys. All right. So now that you have all your stems, all 21 stems and bells, we can move on to our stars. And you're going to basically do the same thing that you did to the stems and bells as you are going to do to your stars. So you just go ahead and get a little paint and add it all over your star, just all around. Don't forget the tops and the bottoms. So you want to make sure, if you think your tree is going to be seen all around, so you want to go ahead and get the back side and all the little nooks and crannies all around, on the tops, on the bottom. So not only did I do the top or the front side and the back side, but I also got all the tops too. All the goodness. And then don't forget your stem. Once again, you want to get the stem nice and coated. And then you stick it right into the cinnamon. Just pounce it right into the cinnamon. Just like that. Just push it right in to the paint. And then you have something that looks like that. And if you think that that maybe looks a little bit too rusty for your taste, you can just stick it right back in the paint and bring it back. Just like that. So it looks a little bit more metallic. You guys can see that. Isn't that cute? Doesn't that look like rust? Just rusty goodness. So stinking cute. Just love it. So cute. Then you'll let that dry. And it dries pretty quick. I'm gonna stick that to the side here. And then we'll do our small star. Bounce it all around the stems, front side, back side, all the way around. And then you want to get all in the nooks and crannies, all up in betweens. Everywhere you want to paint, if this is the step you want to do. And then you stick it right in the cinnamon as the paint is still wet. And then if you find, again, if it's too rusty looking, just stick it right back in the paint and dab a little bit more paint on it. And it makes this really just super cool texture. Really, really neat. I just love it. It's just really neat. Very cool. I'm gonna set that to the side to dry. And now what we're gonna do is, don't forget our bases. So we just, remember, you just wanna paint just the outer edge. You don't need to do the bottoms, and you don't need to do the tops. And of course you don't need to do the stems, because that's gonna go inside the tree. So the only part that you're gonna see is just this outer ring on both trees. You wanna do the small and the large. And again, just go ahead and grab your paint. We're just gonna dab it all over the place. Again, completely optional. You don't have to do this. If you want your trees to have a more wood tone look, you're more than welcome to leave it just as it is. Or paint them red or paint them green or any color you want. But I like the rusty, silvery, bark looking. It's just really cool. And then I'm just gonna add the cinnamon, just gonna roll it right in there, get it all in there, and it makes this really cool texture. Just really, really neat. Just super cool. And if you want to add a little bit of paint look back, you just dip right in the paint and put it right back on, right over the cinnamon. Really cool. Oh. But look at that texture. Isn't that neat? Just really, really cool. And it smells good. It smells like Christmas. But just really, really neat. I just really like this technique. It's so fun. And easy. Just super, super easy. So look at that, you guys. So cute. Told you guys could do this. Just a little messy, but super easy. And again, you guys don't have to use the silver if you don't want. You could use gold or even like a copper color. That would be kind of cool. And then you could still add the cinnamon to it if you wanted to add that extra cool texture. Just a really neat added visual texture. Just really pretty. But once you add your yarn to the tree, it kind of hides the base a little bit. You'll still see it, but it won't be the main attraction, of course. And then once you get your paint in there, you just put it right into the cinnamon. Just roll it around in the goodness. Gets a little bit messy, but it's such a cool technique. Just really neat. And it looks something like that. Super cool, guys. Just really, really pretty. I just really like this a lot. All right. So that is that step, and you're just going to want to go ahead and let those dry for a little bit. So I'm going to set this to the side. Next step, you're going to go ahead and take your ruler, and while we're waiting for our stems and bells and all the texture to dry, we're going to cut our ribbon. So you got a strand of green and you got a strand of red. So what you want to do is cut your ribbon into 2.5-inch strips. So just get your ruler out, and this does not have to be perfect, guys. Does not have to be perfect. Just around about 2.5 inches, that's all. So you want just your little, you want your ribbon to be cut into just little pieces that are about 2.5 inches long. You're more than welcome to cut them straight, square, or you can make little pointy edges. So just gonna mark and cut. And get your scissors out, and then you can cut on an angle, and then when you fold them over, you want to, on the folded edge, so once you get your little piece at 2.5 inches, or roughly, it does not have to be perfect, you're going to fold it in half, and on the folded edge, you're going to cut the tiniest of slit right on the folded edge. You're going to create a hole in the middle of your ribbon. And it doesn't need to be a very big hole, but you're just going to want to cut a tiny hole. Can you guys see that? Where there's a bit of a hole right in the middle of the ribbon. Just like a little pinhole, because that's where we're going to put the wire through. So go ahead and cut your ribbon into 2.5-inch pieces. And you're going to need about 21 pieces. So you can do it, you know, half and half, or however many you can get out of your piece. So, and then we'll meet back up. See you in a second. Okay, so now once your ribbon is all cut, you should have at least 21 pieces that are 2.5 inches long. So they really don't have to be perfect, but they just need to be roughly about that size, and you need about 21 of them. You could cut a little bit more and add a couple to the tops of your tree too. So now what we want to do is, we're done with our ruler. So now we are going to start the tree. So we will start with the smaller of the two. So you want to go ahead and grab the one that's a little bit shorter than the tall one. So what we'll do is we'll start out with that. So get that. So get your short tree base ready. And you're going to need one of the white cones, just one. So you just need the short base and your white cone. So now you will also need your pins. And then you're going to take your short piece of yarn, not the long one. If you're unsure, go ahead and pull both of them out and double check to see which one is the short one. So you just want to use the shorter of the two pieces, because this is my long piece. But my short tree, my small tree, I chose to do a white one. So whatever short piece that is for your small tree. So go ahead and grab the shorter of the two pieces. And at this point, if you haven't already, go ahead and plug in your glue gun and get that warmed up, because you're going to need that for the top of the tree. So now we are going to grab our white cone, and we are going to put it flat on the surface of your table or your desk or wherever it is that you are putting this together. It'll be easier to start the trees, both the big and the small tree, on a flat surface. So don't put it on your base just yet. We're going to do our first loop around the base on the surface of the table, because it makes it a little bit easier, in my opinion. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your short piece of yarn, and you're going to make a full loop all the way around, and the yarn is on the table and the foam cone is on the table, and you're just going to loop it all the way around so it's touching at one point. Now I'm not pulling it very, very tight. I'm not pulling the yarn super, super tight. I'm just kind of letting the yarn just kind of gently hug the base of the cone. And you want at this point to make the yarn touch itself at one point. So you can start up here or start here, however it is that's easiest for you. Go ahead and make one full loop and then have your tail coming off. You're going to grab a couple of pins and you're just going to pin your yarn right into the cone. And you don't have to push your needle all the way into your cone. You're just kind of pushing it in just so it disappears past the surface of your yarn. So you don't have to push the needle all the way in to the base of the cone. You're just kind of pushing it in and stopping. I don't mean to be confusing. So when you push your needles into your cone, more than likely they're going to stick out kind of like that. So you're just basically sticking them just enough where you're attaching the yarn to your cone, if that makes sense. You're not pushing it all the way in because you don't want the yarn to swallow the needle and then it won't hold it to your cone. So you want to put one needle where the yarn is coming away from the cone, and you're also going to put one at the beginning. So I'm going to go ahead and put one in the beginning and one at the end. And you want the yarn to just be sitting flat on your table. It's just going to look like a little party hat. So, and then if you want to help secure, you're going to put a needle at the back also. So you're going to put one on the back side, right here, right in here. And just stab it, right? And I'm going to push it just until it disappears through the fluff. And so I can feel the needle still, the heads of the needle still a little bit, but you can't see them. So now your yarn is fixed to your cone. So now once we got one full loop attached to our base of our cone, and it kind of looks like a little party hat, and the yarn's not going to come off your cone. So now what we're going to do is add our cone to the base now. So now we can go ahead and slip it. There's a little hole right in the middle. You're just going to gently add the cone to the base of your tree, and just be real gentle. Take your time, and it should just follow right through. And then you will notice that the wood base is going to come up through. So it'll look something like this. So you have a little bit of a stem at the end, and you just put it firmly on the base of your tree, just like that. So now what we're going to do is just wind our yarn. We're just going to keep following our yarn all the way, and we're just going to wrap, wrap, wrap all the way to the top. Now, you don't have to pin every inch or two. You're just going to pin it where you see fit. So you can put a pin here and then one here. You don't need to add a bunch of pins, because just a little bit goes a long way, if that makes sense. So you also kind of want to be mindful that while you're wrapping your yarn around the base of your cone, you don't want your yarn to be twisting. So you want to make sure that, because if the yarn twists over and over and over and over, it kind of gets this twisted look, and maybe you like that, and that's okay, but it kind of it takes away from the fluffiness, in my opinion, of the yarn. So you just want to make sure that while you're winding it, you're making sure that the yarn isn't twisting on itself. You just want to make sure, and if it does, just kind of shake it out and then keep winding, and then shake it out and then keep winding. You want to make sure that it doesn't get super twisted, because it'll kind of shrink the yarn a little bit. And but maybe that's the look you like too. So, and that's okay too. There's no wrong or right. So now what we're going to do is, after you've added your cone to the base, we're just going to let gravity kind of hold. So as I'm spinning my tree, I'm going to let, and you want to leave your base on the table. I'm going to tilt it so you guys can see what I'm talking about. But you want to leave yours flat on the table and just kind of twist the tree and slowly add the yarn to the base. Now you want to give it a little bit of tension, because you don't want to get gaps where the yarn might fall away from the base of the tree. You want to see how it can have like a little bit of a gap. You want to make sure that the yarn is snug up against the base. So you want to make sure that you are letting gravity pull the yarn down, because if not, you're going to get gaps in between and you'll be able to see the foam. So you want to make sure that you're just letting gravity let the layers basically touch each other, just a little bit of a kiss. So you don't want to squeeze them together, but you don't want them to fall apart either. So you're just going to let gravity kind of drop the yarn. And then as you go along, then you can add your pins. And then you'll just add the pins where you see fit. So I would say 1 or 2 per row, and then work your way up. But you'll see what I'm talking about. And once you get started, then you can kind of go back to each layer. After I've wound a couple layers, you can go back and kind of check your work and kind of fiddle and see where you want the layers. But you want to make sure that you go check your work every couple of layers, because if you get all the way to the top and then you want to correct something down here, you might have a little bit of a mess. So you just want to make sure that you're kind of checking your work as you go every couple of rows, if that makes sense. So I'm going to go ahead and get started, and you can just easily spin your tree, just spinning your tree just like this. And then that way you can start winding your yarn. I'm going to add a needle. Just be very careful. Just add a needle right into the foam. And again, you don't have to see, you can still see the little bit of the head of the pin. And then when you fluff up the yarn, you can't see it anymore. So I'm not pushing the needle all the way in. It's still kind of right here at the surface of the yarn, because you don't want to squish your yarn. You want it to be fluffy. And then just keep going around. And again, I'm not pulling real tight on it. So I'm not like pulling it super tight. I'm just kind of letting gravity kind of swirl it around. And then if you get a little bit of cinnamon, just brush that off. And then make sure you check your work, and then add the pins as you go. And again, you want to make sure that the yarn is actually touching the base, meaning the cone. So you want each layer to be touching the other layer, and you also want it to be up against the cone itself. If not, it can get a little bit saggy. And then you just wind it up. Super, super easy. Just make sure that it doesn't wrap around on itself, and you don't want it to twist, I mean. And you just kind of twirl it as you go. Really simple. Grab some more pins. I'm gonna check my work. That looks pretty good right there. Keep spinning all the way up to the top. Just want to make sure that the yarn is covering the foam. See how all the rows are pretty much the same. The yarn isn't twisted and making it small. And if you find that it's getting away, just kind of squish it down a little bit. Just make sure you go back and check your work. And then add your pins as you see fit. Make sure there's no gaps. And just keep winding. And you're gonna go all the way up. All the way up. Just make sure that the yarn is touching each other. Just keep checking your work as you spin it. And the further up you go on your tree, the easier it is. And you're gonna take it all the way to the top. And when you get to the top, you're gonna use a little bit of hot glue and just glue the very top of it. So you're just gonna keep winding, and you're just gonna make just like this little tiny tree at the top, or you're just gonna basically just hide the very, very top. So it kind of looks just like that. I'm gonna go back and add a couple of pins to the top so my yarn doesn't escape on me. I'm gonna go back and check my work, make sure that I like every piece. And take your time with this and just secure it where you see fit. Just make sure that the yarn is how you like it. And now at the very, very top, obviously you can't pin into the wood, so you're gonna take just a little bit of hot glue and just cover the very, very top. So I'm gonna take my hot glue gun and just add a little bit of glue right at the top, and then just squeeze the yarn layers together, just like that. And then we'll fluff up our yarn. And then it looks just like that. Ta-da! And you got the cutest little yarn tree, you guys. Told you it was super easy. And then if you go back and you see that there might be a little tiny gap somewhere, then you just feel free to add a pin here or there just to kind of help secure the pieces onto the base. But you really don't need a ton. You really don't. I've only used maybe 5 or so on this tree so far. It really, once you get it started, it kind of sticks to itself almost. And then once we add the bells and stuff, that also will add some security. So you're just a little bit of hot glue at the top, and then you just make this little Cinnabon at the top, and then you just kind of squeeze the yarn onto itself, and you just glued it shut. Isn't that cute, guys? So stinking cute. Super, super easy, you guys. I told you, just completely super easy. So let's go ahead and do the large tree now. So same thing. You're going to grab the taller of the 2 bases. Obviously, you should only have one left now. And just make sure that if you're doing a white tree, your cinnamon might still be a little bit powdery and your paint might be a little bit wet. So just be careful handling some of the antiquing. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take we've got 2 pieces or 3 pieces for this tree. So we have the base, and we have the green, and we also have the white. So we're going to start with the green piece this time. And so we'll set the white one to the side. And again, we're going to start with the green piece, and we're going to start flat on the table again. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our yarn, the longer of the two pieces, and we're going to just lay it out on the table just like it is. So it's laying on the table just like the pieces. So we're laid flat on the table, and we're going to stretch it, or not stretch it, but loop it around so it again touches itself. Just going to kiss itself. Move this out of the way. So we're going to loop all the way around, and it's just going to, the two pieces are going to meet just like that. We're going to go ahead and put a couple of pins. We're going to put a pin in the very beginning. And again, you don't have to squish the yarn, just enough that it'll hold the yarn against the base. And you're going to loop it around, and you can put a piece back there, or I mean a pin right back there, and then loop it all the way around. And right where these two pieces meet up, you're going to put a pin there. And again, you don't want to pull it real tight because that yarn's going to roll up and not sit flat. So you just want gravity to kind of hold the yarn right on the table. And then I'm going to put a pin right back here just to hold the back side. Just like that. So then you'll have something that looks just like this. So that is our first run. So now what we're going to do, before we add our white piece, we're going to take our light strand, and you want to unravel it a little bit, just a hair. Just release that, there's a little tail. So you just want to unravel your light strand just enough where you can release it so it looks something more like this. It's still in a little bit of a ball, but the ball is away from this piece here. You also want to make sure that you pull the tab, the clear tab, so that, and double check to make sure that all the tab is removed so your light switch actually works. And then you can leave them on or turn them off, however. And what you're going to do is you're going to insert your light switch into this slot here. And you want the rounded edge to come out, or to go up into the spot, and you want the light switch and the lights to come out the bottom side. So you want, this is the top of the tree, this is the bottom of the tree. So you want the lights to come out the bottom. Okay? And then you're going to push that white mechanism up until you can almost barely see it. So it looks just kind of like that. Okay? Now we're going to go ahead and add this whole piece right onto the base of our tree. So go ahead then, and there'll be a little round hole right in the center. Again, you're going to just add the base to your green foam. And you're going to slide it all the way down, all the way down. And then you're going to move your light switch out of the way, the lights out of the way, and push it all the way down. So you want your foam to sit on your base. So there's not much of a gap. There can be a little bit of a gap, but you don't want a big gap because you might see it. So it just looks something like that. You guys see that? Okay. So now what we want to do is go ahead then and add our foam cone on top of the green foam. And you'll notice that your little white light mechanism is going to stick out the top just a little bit. That's okay. But when you add your foam cone down on your green cone, you're just going to push it down firmly enough where this top piece will sink into the bottom of your white cone. And it doesn't take a lot of pressure. You don't have to manhandle it, but you just want to just carefully add your white cone on top and slide it all the way through. And then you're just going to set it, kind of push it down just enough where the cones meet. Just like that. And then it'll look something like that. And then you go ahead then and just start wrapping your large tree just like you did the small tree. Very, very simple. Just take your time. Make sure that your yarn doesn't twist. You don't want that. You want to make sure that you are just letting gravity hold the yarn onto the base. Very, very simple. And you just spin it as you go, or you can just wrap it around. Just make sure you don't twist, and you just kind of check your work every couple of strands. So you just want to just kind of see, if I pull on it too tight, it's going to separate the strands. You don't want that. You want to make sure that your strands of yarn are touching each other like that. So I'm going to let gravity hold it, and you can just kind of play with it a little bit, and just make sure that once you get it started, it's a little bit easier. You just want to get your pins and pin as you go. And again, you don't want to pin real tight, just enough to hold the yarn. And right here where it meets, you want to go ahead and put a pin there where it's kind of stair steps up into the next row. You want to make sure you get a pin there just to hold that. But it's really very simple. Just go slow, check your work. You don't have to push the pins in very hard. You just spin as you go. Just spin and then pin. And you're going to go all the way up top just like you did before. If you are using a darker yarn like the green, you will definitely want to make sure that you check your work between rows, because you'll be able to see the white cone if you have any separation. So if you don't get your rows together, you'll definitely see the base through your yarn. So you want to make sure that you get the yarn snug on it, on the dark stuff, on the darker yarn. Get some more pins here. And just pin as you go. And of course, with the larger tree, you'll need a little bit more pinning. They're really, really simple. Just let gravity do the work. Just make sure you go back and check your work and see how I pinned that. But you can see I didn't let the two pieces get together before I pinned it. So I gotta take my pin back out and squish my yarn together and then go back and pin it. And now you can't see my base, or now you can't see the white cone over there. And just keep on twirling. Just make sure you check your work every couple of rungs. Just keep checking. Keep spinning. Just keep twirling. Make sure you check all sides. Because like I said, if you get all the way to the top and you want to come back and check and fix something here, it's a little harder to do. So you just want to make sure you check your work as you go. But really simple, 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 simple. Just take your time and go round and round all the way up to the top. Feel free to just kind of squish it all together. Make sure you get good contact. It's the beauty of fluffy yarn. It's very forgiving. Just keep on going up. Just make a couple rounds and then go back and check your work. Make a couple rounds and go back and check your work. Really cute. And you're going to go all the way up to the top. Once you get to the top, then you're going to glue the top just like you did on the smaller tree. Just a little Cinnabon right at the top. And if you find that you have too much yarn at the top and it gets a little bulky, get a pair of scissors and just snip off the very end. Now I'm just going back through and I'm checking to make sure that I can't see the base anywhere. So far so good. There's a spot there. I'll go back and repin that. Just like so. Just keep on pinning up. Just pin as you go. Just keep on keeping on. And then once you get to the top, you just make your little Cinnabon and pin it. Make sure you pin it decently at the top because it might be a little bit looser, so you want to make sure you give it support at the very top. Just like that. But it's the same exact thing. Just keep going back and checking. Make sure that you don't have any of the base showing. And then you go all the way up to the top. And I'm just going to glue the very top with a little bit of glue right along my little Cinnabon. Just like that. Hold it for a second. Oop. Go back and make sure that you don't have any of the base showing. I'm just going back and checking my work to see if I can see any spots. I don't see any. You make sure everything is attached at the top. A little extra glue just in case. You don't need a whole lot of glue to hold the yarn, but you want to make sure that it doesn't come unraveled on you. Just like that. Check my work one last time. So far, so good. And super, super cute, guys. Really, really easy peasy. Look at that. So stinking cute. Okay, so now that our yarn is on both of our trees, we're going to go back to the little bells on our stems. And you might want to let these dry a little bit. If they're still kind of wet, you might get a little bit of paint on your fingers, and that could transfer to your trees. But if you don't care about getting a little messy, you go ahead and get started with that. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna make the little curly cues. So what you wanna do is take your dowel rod and take your bell on your stem, and you're just going to place it with the bell right at the dowel rod. So you don't want it to be way out here. You want the bell to be right at the dowel rod, and hold it with your thumb, and you're just going to wrap your wire around and around and around your dowel rod until you get about an inch or so at the end, and then you can just slide it off, and then you can bend your curly cue so you have a little bit of a tail, and then you have a little stem just like that. Super cute, right? And then you want to do that to your stars as well. So go ahead and make curly cues out of all your stems and your stars, and we'll meet back in a second. All right, so now that we have all our bells and our stems, what we'll do is we'll go ahead and we'll do our stars as well. It's the same concept. Go ahead and put the star right at the base of the dowel rod, and then just twist the tails. And then you can straighten it out so it'll look something like that, and then you can straighten it out so it looks something like that. A little curly cue. So cute, guys. So cute. Go ahead and put your star at the base, and then just wrap the tail. All the way around. Slide it off, and then straighten the star up just a little bit. So you got a tail, just like that. So cute, guys. All right, so now that you have the curly cues and your stars done, we're gonna take our ribbon and insert each tail of your curly cue into a piece of ribbon right in the center. So you're going to slip the ribbon onto your stem, and at the very first curly cue, you're going to pinch the ribbon so you make like a little, almost like a little bow. You're going to put a little bit of hot glue right in there, and then just pinch. So it looks something just like that. Almost like it's got like little wings. Just like that. Okay? I'll show you again. So you take your piece of ribbon, just slip the ribbon onto the little tail. So it looks just like that. Slide it all the way up to the very first round, circular round part, first curly cue part. And you're just going to put a little, just squeeze it together. You're going to add a little, just the tiniest bit of hot glue right at the base, and then squeeze the two pieces of ribbon together just for a second, and you basically just gave it like little wings almost. You guys see that? Just like that. And you'll do that to all your curly cues. All right, once you get all your curlicues done and everybody has, all the curlicues have ribbon attached, then you go ahead and attach some ribbon to your stars. And you can do the same technique. Same way. All right, once you get all your curlicues done and your stars got little ribbon on them, you will make sure you pull off all the little glue strands if you have any. And then put those to the side and grab your large tree. I'll move those to the side real quick, but don't go far. So now what we're gonna do is unravel our light strand, and I'm gonna go ahead and turn mine on so you guys can see mine. So I'm gonna just slide down my base just enough where I can slip my finger in there or a little ruler, something flat, and turn it on. It's just a slide toggle. Just like that. I'm gonna unravel my light strand very carefully all the way out. And then what we're gonna do is place our light strand where we like it. So I'm just gonna go ahead and just start winding it on the tree just like you would a normal regular Christmas tree. So I'm just going to kind of play with it and just start adding it to my tree. I'm just gonna twirl it around, and I'm gonna get the light strand fully on my tree, and then I'll mess with the placement. Just get it all the way around and all the way up to the top. And that's pretty good. I like that pretty good right there. I'm gonna separate this part just a little bit. But you're just going to basically find placement, find how you like it, and then just add just a little bit of glue on the wire just to hold the light strand where you want it. It doesn't take a whole lot. It really doesn't. I'm just going to add a little bit here. And maybe a little bit down here at the bottom. And then maybe one in the middle. And just hold on to it and let that glue cool. And then you have your lights added to it. Isn't that cute, guys? So stinking cute, you guys. Really, really cute. And now what we're gonna do is add our curlicues to our trees. So now you guys get to decide when and how you have placement. So you can do 12 on one or 9 on the other, or you can put all of them on the big tree. It's really however you would like yours to do. And all you gotta do is take a curlicue. I'm gonna grab it by the tail, pull off any little glue strands. You're just gonna grab it at the base. Glue strand here. Just grab it by the base and then just pierce it right into the foam, just like that. And then it just sticks out like a little curlicue. So cute. And then just keep adding all your curlicues wherever you want them to go. And put some, and I put mine on the sides and on the front. I didn't really put any on the back side. And I mixed mine up. I put green on the big tree. I put green on the little tree. But it is completely up to you however you want to do it. I'm going to add this and go ahead and find your placement and add your little curlicues wherever you want. So cute, guys. So stinking cute. And then you can put the big star on the big tree. So this is my big star. And you just place it right at the top. And then you might have to add just a little bit of hot glue, right? So what you want to do is just add just right, because there isn't any foam right at the top, right at the very top. Just going to add a little bit of hot glue on your stem. Just a little bit. You don't need a whole lot. And then just slip it right down, right all the way till it to the first little curly Q bend, and then just hold it. And if you find you need more hot glue, feel free to go back in and add just a little bit more. But really a little bit goes a long way. And then just hold on to it while it cools. And then, you guys, you have the cutest little tree. Isn't that cute? Just really, really darling. So what we're going to do is go ahead and then add to our small one now. So it's the exact same concept. Just start adding your little curly Qs wherever you see fit. So I just stick one in here. And one over here. Just really, really cute, guys. And just add them wherever you want and just build your tree up. And if you find that you don't like placement, feel free to take it out and put it somewhere else. The foam base is very, very, very forgiving. Don't forget to add your star right at the top. All right, guys, and once you add all your curly Qs to your trees, you're all done. Don't forget your little stars, but you guys, look how darling they turned out. So stinking cute. So stinking cute, you guys. So thank you again for joining me on this fun adventure of these chunky yarn Christmas trees, you guys. Super easy, super fun. And if you have any questions or comments, please list them below or contact me on my Facebook page, Three Barns of Charm, and I will happy to answer any questions you may have about these darling, darling trees, you guys. So cute. I told you you guys could do it. So stinking cute. Well, I hope you guys had as much fun as I did, and I hope to see you in the next one. So have a wonderful Thanksgiving, and Merry Christmas, you guys. Merry Christmas.